Mayor Esser, Good evening, Council. Make it quick. I just want to thank the diversity group who worked on this for the last several months, and the work that they put in and the listening that they did. And I know a lot of comments in support have been directed to our future, what this means for folks in terms of welcoming them to Sun Prairie. But I also want to speak to what that means for those of us who are already here, to know that we have an elected body that is willing to codify into law protections for folks who could be and are discriminated against. So I appreciate the work that the committee put in, and I appreciate the council taking this up this evening. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Annalise. Isaac Fleming, wishing to speak in support.
I wrote support. I apologize. I was meaning to write opposed.
Okay. So change that to opposed. But wishes to speak.
That's right.
All right. We got you.
First of all, I want to say thank you. I'm Isaac Fleming. I'm 29 years old, and I'm also the pastor of Living Water Church here in Sun Prairie. And I also want to say thank you to Paul Esser. He's been more than welcoming to me personally. And one of my first encounters with him was at the Martin Luther King Jr. Vigil. And he welcomed me and introduced me to more people. So
In the rain.
In the rain. And so I do want to join in on one unique point of saying where we definitely can be together, as I voice opposed viewpoint, is that I love diversity, and I'm not quite sure anyone here doesn't. Today, I happen to have a Hmong friend, an African friend, and an Indian friend all in my office at the same time. And I didn't plan it. Ask later. But nonetheless, I've tried to live that out a little bit more. My wife is black. I didn't marry her just because I wanted to be diverse, but I liked my wife. Just so happens that I am diverse, and therefore there are a lot of concerns that come to the table. Also, just before here, my daughter was invited to a multicultural night at a school. And so, man, let me tell you, the tacos, as well as all of the other food from all of the other countries of the world, especially the Vietnamese food, was more enjoyable than being here tonight. But nonetheless valuable in being here too. And I just want to say diversity is a very important category wherever we're going. I also want to say that inevitably in the diversity discussion that all of us have, it's easy to leave one out, or it's easy to pose one against another. And I think sometimes that's where culture news, unfortunately, gets in. A lot of my atheist friends, and I have a number of them, and I've debated them, and we have great chats with some of my best colleagues, say that they are the most discriminated against group in all of America, and yet they are a larger percentage than a number of the other minorities that are represented. And I think, therefore, even on behalf of my atheist friends today, I would say that there might be some value in writing in non-religious focus points down the road as well, because they continually feel that they're left out in the larger discussion. And that's why I think that it's very intriguing for us as we get to this discussion of diversity, where we find ourselves inevitably in a society where to even have tolerance exist, you have to disagree with each other. There is no such thing as tolerance if there isn't disagreement. And therefore, to set the scales in a way that maybe disallows a sense of agreement, at least that's the worry of the people. And I appreciate a lot of the language it was very carefully worded, some of it, and much of it is very good, but I still stand opposed. We need to have a society that continues to remember that toleration and disagreement are okay things. And that's, of course, what you guys are allowing tonight. Again, a thanks. But I think that it doesn't promote that sense of allowance of toleration. We can't have everybody agreeing on everything. It's just not a good and a safe society. And therefore, I just propose a set of thoughts. Philosophical and religious texts have weighed in on a number of the sexual practices that are resident. And even though there were religious protections in place within the bill, and I appreciate that, I think that what do we do when those things are read in public? And are they legitimate examples of diversity as they weigh in negatively or positively throughout history? Are they beyond the pale of allowed diversity? And therefore, I think that perhaps government getting involved in issues like this is very good. And at the same time, it's going to leak out in other issues, which is perhaps the problem of calling it diversity to begin with. For instance, would it be diverse to include protections for the unborn in bills like these? Because those are very valuable issues of a number of persons of the population. In fact, a majority of the population right now, 51+%. And so I think it's important for us to remember who's left out in the diversity discussion, perhaps the most vulnerable. Beyond that, of course I'm not asking you guys to get involved in that issue. I'm just using that as an illustrative point that there are some issues that local governments can leave aside and let the big boys or federal take care of it. Lastly, to create inclusions based on excluding other views and other viewpoints, which can include things like atheist communities, Muslim communities, Christian communities, and even Jewish communities. Perhaps it ends up not being quite as diverse as we wanted, and that's why I think that diversity for diversity's sake needs to just be a little bit of a step in question. I'm going to end with this. Let's start from the point of principles, which I think all of you have, and I would applaud most of them for sure. And not necessarily from the point of minorities, but from the point of principles, and then treat minorities based upon those principles. That's the best way of doing it, rather than starting from the minority and turning it against other bodies. I had a friend, I was in a locker room with him, he's from California, and I was in a really small town in Kentucky. Awkward conversation to be in the locker room while you're undressing. And what happens is he says, "Oh, I'm just missing the diversity from California." I found out he's from California. And he says to me, "I'm just missing all my black friends and my Hispanic friends, and I just need a little bit more diversity." Actually, I could relate, but I didn't want to tell him who my spouse was, at least not in the locker room. And what happens was, I said, "Well, why don't you enjoy the diversity that you have right now in small town middle America?" "Oh yeah, good point." In the end, he wasn't being so inclusive on his diversity points. And I think that's the point today, that inevitably, if you create exclusions in trying to be inclusive, you end up leaving somebody out, and therefore I would ask to withhold, and perhaps more language and more thought to be put into this. But I do thank all of you in the process.
Thank you, Isaac.